What's up YouTube, PokePrimer here, primed and ready to deliver you our draft analysis for the NPBF. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for a new season of the NPBF. We made it to, I believe, the semifinals last season once again. We got ever so close, yet ever so far from achieving our goal of climbing to the mountaintop of the NPBF, but this season it is indubitably that time. I think we have a sufficiently busted team under the new drafting format we went with this season, and I think I just have faith, man. I really think this team is going to pull through and do a lot for us. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Let's just get into it. So, this season, we went for a more traditional drafting format, although there was a few things that were changed. Tier 5 Z users cost 25 points. This is due to get like a little point balancing. For me, it's something I'm more comfortable with, so I was happy with that. So we're going to go over everything that I did for the team and everything that I have done to change the team with the draft and everything. I'll talk about like what mons are different from what my original draft was and why I changed it. So with how the draft was set up, we made it so that Z users, that Megas can also use Z moves. So that's why we added the extra 5 points onto Tier 5 Z users, so you couldn't be like, oh, well, I have a really good Mega that also works as a Z user, and oh, look at that, I have a fucking I have like a god tier fucking, why are my pants so dirty? I have a god tier motherfucking tier 1 and tier 5 Z user combination. I have all these Z options plus the Mega. Like, it was kind of just to power balance, I guess, the teams to a somewhat of extent. So, initially, I drafted kind of a semi-Sun team. Originally, my Mega was a Mega Charizard Y. I drafted Zard Y because I haven't used it in so long. I kind of just wanted to fuck around with Zard Y. I kind of wanted a little bit of a Sun Core to work with because it'd be fun. And Zard Y, I've seen, just in some cases, just doesn't have switch-ins. So since I went Zard X last season, I kind of wanted to fuck with Zard Y this season. Just kind of switch things up a little bit, still keep, the nice, strong, powerful fire type going, and see what I can do with Zard Y, because it has a lot. I think it's just as, if not more, slightly more diverse in what it can do sometimes than Zard X, so dependent on your mood. So, so I went for that first, right? Along with that, some other mons, that I wanted to mess around with. Hold on, I have to do something real quick. I have to double check something real quick, because this is weird. Sorry about this, guys. Alright, sorry about that. Anyways, so the rest of the team was kind of looking pretty crisp along with the Zard Y and everything. I had Venusaurs, one of my regular Venusaurs, one of my tier 3s. I ended up mixing up a couple picks because it was rushed because of time limits. I had Empoleon on the team. I had Raikou on the team at one point, even though I'm not a huge fan of Raikou. It was kind of like my best bet kind of situation at that time, based on what I had. I had Latios at one point. Like, my team wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. But once I got later in the draft, well, yes, I am an admin, I understand, and I should have, brushed up on things ahead of time. I didn't realize we had done the Mega Z rule. Alright, so, in not realizing that, that's why I drafted Zard Y, because Zard Y was perfectly fine to use in that type of, in a format where that's not a thing. But Zard Y, regular Charizard, is not a great Z user to have. In any universe, Zard is not a good Z user. Just in general. So, when it came down to it, I decided that I need to switch the team up. And if I'm dropping Zard, obviously the components that make up the Sun Core need to go. And from there, a lot of my draft plan had to get switched up a lot. So, to start things off with the switching it up, I dropped Megazard Y to get Mega Garchomp. Slammoo the Mega Garchomp. So, y'all know when it comes to my Garchomps, I always make Street Sharks related nicknames, and I've used Streaks for, I think, Gabite, and I've used Ripster for Garchomp. Now, for Mega Garchomp, Slammoo just makes sense because he's the big one. He smacks things a lot harder than the other variants, so it was about time I dug this one out. So, Slammoo with a Mega Garchomp. Obviously, it does lose speed from Garchomp, but gains a lot of bulk and attack, which is really great. Another thing that's really, really cool about Mega Garchomp is, it does have that 120 special attack set, so if I need to run a special move or something on it, I can. It gets a lot of great coverage. It hits stupidly hard. It's really hard to switch into. And if I get my predictions right, there won't be switch-ins. It also provides me a rocker early on, which is also really good. Mega Garchomp's just really, really solid mon. As we get further into the team, you'll see why it's such a solid mon. So, this is also the start of my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, which I really like my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I like my Fairy Dragon Steel. My Firewater Grass is not the best, but it's not the worst. It could be 10 times worse than this, so I'm kind of happy with how it turned out, but it could always be better. Well, I shouldn't record late at night. Anyways, so there's that. Next up, I kind of wanted to grab a tier 1 that was a little bit stronger. This is one of the mons I drafted originally. And that is going to be Migos the Jirachi, because Migos made the song Versace. Versace is the common name for Jirachi, kind of patented by the Heated Mo. And I just kind of was like, one thing leads to another, so I'm just going to go with that. Just because I didn't want to just straight up name it Versace. That kind of was be boring to me. So I went with Jirachi. I haven't used Jirachi much or really effectively in leagues before, so I figured Jirachi was a really solid pick for this team. Awesome dual typing with the Steel Psychic. Serene Grace is a stellar ability for hacking people out. Am I going to be one of those people that just straight up runs Scarfrachi and goes for Ironhead flinches all the time just to be a dick? No. But, you know, will I specifically go for Ironhead over another move just for the chance to flinch to potentially win a game? Absolutely. Will I potentially choose certain moves over others because of their secondary chances of doing things? Yes, absolutely. That is going to happen plenty of times. I'm gonna do that. Because if I don't, then I'm not using the mon properly, and that's just stupid of me. Realistically. Like, I would be dumb to not use the tool that I'm being given in Jirachi. You know what I mean? Like, it's another potential rocker. It's a great support mon, but it's also really good for dishing out hacks. That's what this thing does. It dishes out hacks, and it does a fucking great job at it. So I'ma just some days just bring Scarf Migos and just go in and flinch people, and that's fine because I'm using them on the way it was intended, the way nature intended Jirachi to be used. I know y'all aren't gonna like it. Trust me, I'm not the biggest fan either, but I'm gonna do it anyway because Jirachi is that good. So I love Jirachi. It's gonna be a great mon for the team. And moving onward. Originally this pick was Empoleon, and I realized shortly afterwards that I didn't like it because at the time I was a partial Sun team, and this wasn't going to benefit me at all having two steel types. Even though Empoleon's not weak to fire, having double steel in a Sun team just seems stupid. I'm asking for someone to just bring a powerful fire type against me and just fist fuck my team inward. Because at this point, like, I was rushed and I completely forgot that I had Jirachi, and I was like, what fucker, Empoleon. So I did set up a trade, actually, with Alex and the Grand Rapids Glissopods. It's a two-part trade. I'll explain part 2 later. But the main part that I want to focus on, because it was kind of a little bit more of a give and take kind of thing. Like, I had to give a little to get what I wanted. Well, what I wanted was Jormungand of the Milotic. The Pokemon that pretty much carried us through the PTL this past season. This thing was a fucking beast, dude. This thing absolutely just carried my team. Like, no lie. This thing, whenever I brought Jormungand, I won. Like, I can't remember if I lost a game where Jormungand was on the squad this past season of the PTL. So that just goes to show not only how good this mon is in general, but how good I am with using it. So that's important to note. Like, this is a mon I'm extremely comfortable with using. It's my favorite bulky water type in the format. Just not even just in the format, in the game in general. I love Milotic. There's a lot of options. Even if you just go for the standard set, 99.9% of the time will do the work you need it to do plenty well enough. This it's super fantastic, super bulky. Marvel scale as well, and the Flame Orb nerf, the burn nerf in Gen 7, making this thing even fatter and more impossible to break through. This mon is just fantastic. I absolutely love Milotic, and I'm really looking forward to using it again. Now, the next mon was The next mon that I have drafted was originally the Latios, but when I went through and did my post-draft free agent signings to fix up the Sun team, I also dropped Latios. And the reason I dropped Latios was, looking at my team, I was like, alright, first of all, this gives me double Psychic between Lati and Rachi. And I was like, I'm not the biggest fan of this, because I wasn't the biggest fan of it because I don't want to have too much of a knockoff weakness, and I would have had plenty of a knockoff weakness if I kept it on the team. And between the two of them, I really was looking forward to using Rachi more than using Lati again. So I decided to drop Lati, and based upon how the rest of my draft went, there was one tier 1 that I just kind of needed to grab because it filled a role that I couldn't get. And that was Eneru, the Thunder Therian. Eneru as a reference to the Thunder God dude from the Skypiea arc in One Piece. Yeah, so Thunder Therian is amazing. Volt Absorb gives me that electric immunity that Mega Garchomp also provides me. So again, this is actually support for making my Melodic an even better mon than it already is, which is great. Mind you, also I have no electric weaknesses. I have one electric weakness on my entire team. Two electric weaknesses on my entire team, so this helps a lot. I have a lot of things to deal with electric types. So, but anyway, Eneru is fantastic. Base 101 speed, so it's now the fastest mon on my team, and actually is the second fastest mon on my team in general, so that's cool. But 145 special attack stat, easy enough to say that this thing is just a monster. This is also my Z user, besides Garchomp obviously, but this is my main Z. This is going to be my main Z user for the team, because Thunderous Therian as a Z user is just a monster. Like, this thing can get set up so easily in most games, and can also just punch holes through so much with just one Z move. Just click the Z move and something is gonna die. Something's just going to die. That's it. That's just it. Like, it just dies. That's plain and simple. Yeah, Thundy T is fantastic. The reason I got Thundy T, because when I was originally figuring out my draft plan, I kind of wanted Electrode, because I was looking more into it, and it gets like dual screens and everything. I was like, these are things that I completely forgot or didn't even make mention of or use back in the day, the many times I've used Electrode. So I was kind of really looking forward to giving Electrode a shot, but somehow, some way, like, I don't know how this is one of the things that got glazed over in the tier voting for this season, but somehow Electrode got bumped to tier 4. In no world should Electrode be tier 4 in Draft League. I know, like, it's shitting on a mon that I wanted, but Electrode is forever and should always be a tier 5, period. So, seeing it as tier 4, I didn't want to waste a tier 4 pick on that thing. And then once it came time to redo my draft, or like rethink like my plan, I needed both my tier 4 picks anyway, so that was fixed up. So yeah. Anyway, so there's that. So Eneru was my replacement to be my fast electric type to put in work for the team, and he definitely will, because this thing's a monster. Next mon on the squad is the part 2 to the 2-part trade, along with the Granite Epic Glissopods. And basically, to put it simply, Alex was like, alright, I'll do Empoleon for Melodic if you throw in Raikou for, in this case, Staraptor. So he really wanted Raikou, and that's fine. I wasn't mad about giving up Raikou, because I don't like Raikou as I just don't like Raikou, personally. I've never been a fan of Raikou. It's just kind of there for me. Like, it's one of those mons that I'm like, alright, I mean, it's cool, you're okay, I guess, but can you just not exist? You know what I mean? Like, She is this to say, like, can you just not exist, Raikou? That'd be great. Because I just don't care about you. I just do not care about you. But I actually like having Staraptor on the team. Gives me another defogger, because actually Thundy gets defog as well, which is cool. It gives me another defogger. Now I don't have to run Intimidate to do defog as well, which is great. So I can have Reckless defog Raptor, which is absolutely fantastic. This thing hits like a freaking truck. Brave Bird / Double Edge, you really don't have switch-ins, and like your switch-ins, being like rock and steel types, don't appreciate the close combat that could potentially follow it. So this thing is an absolute beast. It's decently fast, potential for Intimidate for a bulky bird if I really wanted to go there. This thing just does a lot of things. And so that's cool. So this trade was figured out pretty early on in the draft, like not too long after I picked up Raikou. I was like, yeah, we'll do this trade after the draft, no big deal. And then I picked up the Venusaur after this. And then it wasn't too long after I picked up the Venusaur that like I started to rethink my draft plan, and actually ended up going ahead and switching that Venusaur for Ron Burgundy, the Delmise. Now, y'all know how much I love using Delmise. It's triple stab, which is absolutely ridiculous. Has a trapping move, is a spin blocker, it is a rapid spinner itself. Delmise just does it all. Delmise just does everything, and it's such a good Pokemon. Like, never has Delmise on my team not put in some kind of work in a match. This thing is absolutely fantastic. I love Delmise. I am so excited to have Delmise. I don't need to say much about Delmise. I'm just happy. One cool thing that ended up happening from picking this thing up is it ended up being a second Rapid Spinner, which is cool, because my first Rapid Spinner that I picked up before I had switched all the Mons out, obviously, was Beyblade, the Hitmontop. So it was around the point of between the Venusaur, which is Ron Burgundy, and picking Beyblade. The whole draft plan changed. Like, I was trying to plan out the rest of my draft so I could leave picks behind so that I wasn't like, holding things up. I was discussing with people like what I wanted to get, and Hitmontop was discussed because it worked really well with my team because I was looking for a fighting type. I was like, oh shit, Hitmontop's still there? I didn't even realize it. Shit. Alright, I'm gonna scoop that up. It was a tier 3 this season, but like, Hitmontop I guess can justify for tier 3. Decently bulky. Decent, like crazily bulky. Decently good at attack stat. Not too bad on the speed department, being a spinner and all. With priority, like this thing does do its job very, very effectively. So I'm very, very happy to have Hitmontop on the team. I've used Hitmontop a couple times before. Hopefully I can use it better than I've done in the past. This season, that'd be great. But, yeah, so there's our Beyblade. Next up, I kind of was looking to get our Fairy type, and our Aromatisse had already been taken, which is a bummer. So I actually ended up going for Comfey. Get laid the Comfey. Abilities, Triage. It's great. Natural Cure also worked well if I'm going for more of a just bulky set straight up, but Triage is more for the support set. All types of the healing moves, which is also great. Very decent, very crazy good bulk as well, like Hitmontop has, while also being stupid awesome when it comes to things like setting up Calm Minds, clicking priority draining kiss, and just fucking shit up. Like, this thing does a lot of really cool things, and does them well, and that extra priority with the healing moves really, really helps a lot in matches. So Comfey, I think, is going to be a really awesome fairy type to have on the squad. I'm really, really happy to use Comfey, and hopefully I can put in some work with it. Next up, you're going to see where the main plan of the draft got changed. Instead of running Sun, we're running Sand. We have Walsinna, the Gigalith. I know there's a lot of different nicknames that are thrown around based upon the walls in Attack on Titan for like rock types and stuff. So I figured Wall of Sinnoh seemed to fit really well for Gigalith. Since it got Sandstream in Gen 7, this thing became so much more viable because the Sand does boost its special defense stat, which is super awesome because Gigalith usually dies to special hits a lot. So being able to actually take some special hits, EV'd correctly, this thing is fantastic. Its HP and defense stats are already massive, so that boost to its special defense is absolutely amazing for it. It also has a ridiculous attack stat, so this thing's going to be hitting like a truck. It is another stealth rocker, so we have like 3 defoggers, 2 spinners, and 3 stealth rockers currently on the team. So we are pretty good when it comes to hazards and hazard removal. This thing also will always have that nice Sandstream up, so our Slamoo can go in, and our next pick can go in as well. And our next pick is Scuddy Dog, the Stoutland. Intimidate for being a bulky boy, Sand Rush for being an offensive crazy boy. This thing, look at those stats, alright? This is, mind you, the final evolution of like a Route 1 or Route 2 or whatever, you know, Mon, right? Usually these things are always ass. Bertrat to Watchog. Can't really say Gumshoes is terrible, but it's not great. Like, this Mon has such amazing natural bulk while also being offensive, having the offensive prowess too, especially in the sand with base 80 speed, mind you. 80 speed with the Sand Rush boost is absolutely big when it comes to outspeeding most teams. This thing just does it and fucking smacks everything up, dude. Smacks it all up. I love it. Stoutland is amazing in every way. This thing is going to be a monster. This thing in the sand absolutely tears through everything in front of it, which is amazing. So, shout outs to you, Stoutland, the boy. Scotty Dog coming home to fuck shit up. And last but not least, I had to complete my Firewater Grass Core, and I decided just kind of like YOLO it. It was the only fire type available, so I went for Power Roar. I was so mad because Ethan, the little fuckhole of the Cleveland Typhlosions, that little fuckhole drafted Simisear. I wanted Simisear so bad because, you know, it makes me even more mad now because he has Oricorio and Moltres, so he has 2 potential fire types right there. He had no reason to draft Simisear. He's just stupid. He's just really fucking stupid. Fuck you, Ethan. You stupid douchebag. I fucking hate you. You can go fucking die in a ditch, you bitch. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Swear to God, I'm gonna 6-0 you the week that we face. I swear to fucking God. I'm a little upset. Couldn't you tell? Anyways, I really wanted Simisear because it's more mixed offensive. It does a lot more things for my team. But unfortunately, somebody really stupid stole it from me. So now I'm fucking stuck with Pyroar. Which, yeah, Pyroar's not bad. But, however, it's not good either. I apologize. It's a base 106 speed, which makes it the fastest mon on our team, which is cool. Break that 105 speed barrier. That's great. 109 special attack. It hits real hard. Like, it's still hitting pretty decently hard, so I'm like happy with that. That's cool. However, the big problem for me is it can't be mixed. Like, yeah, you can run the Moxie, Flame Charge, wacky set. And that's fine, like, with workup and stuff like that. Like, you can make a physical set happen. shout outs to Dave and the Wellington Whirlwinds for enlightening me to that option. Like, it can be done, and don't get me wrong, I'm gonna try to sweep somebody with a fucking Moxie Pyroar this season. You already know. You already know it's something I want to do now, just because I feel like I can. I feel like I have the ability, the actual skill to pull that off and make someone feel bad about themselves. It's just, it's not easy, so I actually have to try hard to do that, and that's just a pain in my ass having to try hard. Anyways, I don't know why I just opened Discord. I don't know why. That's the wrong thing to click. Anyways, Pyro is okay. I'll make it work. Mufasa is here for the team, but that's the squad. That's the squad. So like, I started off with a partial sand team. I ended up with a partial sun team. I ended up with a partial sand team, and one that works way better in the format that we're rocking with. Thundy T is going to put in a lot of work with Z-move access. Slammoo is going to be a monster with the Sandstorm up. Like, my team is going to put in a lot of work, I think. It's going to be a really, really cool season. There's a lot of really tough competition. We start off against the Carolina Persians, Macaulay and the Carolina Persians, week 1. So he's got a really fucking terrifying team. Just looking at it right now, I'm just like, ugh. Can I just not face that team? Thanks. It's gonna be a rough one, but I think we can pull it out because I think we're awesome. So, without further ado, I'm gonna get out of here. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm PokePrimer, and I am signing off. Peace.